Hello everyone, welcome back to Metamorphosis with Toby. And so as we gear up for Black Breastfeeding Week, I cannot help but feel a mix of excitement and introspection, really because this year's theme is boots on the ground, rooted in breastfeeding success, grounded in community support. And so this really hits home for me, and probably for many of you that are watching or listening. It's all about standing firm in our traditions. It's about supporting each other and reclaiming the power of breastfeeding in Black families. And so if you're a Black mom, you're an auntie, a doula, an ally, whatever, let's all dive into this together. So I'll share some thoughts drawn from real experiences, backed by research, and sprinkled with stories that might make you nod in recognition or pause for reflection. And so breastfeeding is not just about feeding a baby. It's a journey laced with history, hurdles, and heartwarming wins. And so if you're a new mom, or say you're a new mom, exhausted but exhilarated, holding your little one close, that first latch is magical, right? But for many Black women, that moment comes with layers of complexity that we do not always talk about. So I remember hearing from friends and family about how breastfeeding felt like an uphill battle, not just because they didn't want to, but because the world around them made it much more harder. And so these are not just stories of people, but there's stats to back all of this up. According to the CDC, the 2022 breastfeeding report card, only about 75% of Black infants are ever breastfed, and this is compared to the higher rates in other groups. So even more telling is just the rate of Black babies that receive any breast milk at 6 months versus the rates of other non-Hispanic whites and other races. And so for exclusive breastfeeding at 6 months, which is the gold standard, it's a stark 20% for African American families, about half the rate of white families. So these numbers are not just data. They are reflections of systemic issues that leave us feeling isolated. And so the next question you might want to ask is, why is this happening? So let's get real. It's not because Black moms are not trying. Historical trauma play a huge role in this. Think back to slavery, when women were forced to wet nurse white babies, often at the expense of their own children. And so that legacy in some way lingers, creating a disconnection from our natural traditions. And so fast forward to today, we are dealing with biases in hospitals where staff might not even offer the same level of support to Black moms, where there's a push for formula instead. And also we can add socioeconomic barriers like poverty, lack of paid maternity leave, jobs that don't accommodate pumping, and it's no wonder these rates for Black women drop. And so there's also the stigma, family members questioning why are you still doing this, or even the misinformation about milk supply itself. So there's one study highlights that, or several studies highlight how structural racism and discrimination add stress, making it tougher to sustain or continue breastfeeding. And so also, let's not forget the lack of role models sometimes. Without seeing other Black women thriving at it, it can feel out of reach or out of place. But here's where it gets personal and inspiring. I personally have connected with so many stories that remind me that we are not alone. I've connected that we are not alone. For instance, take Nadine Muhammad's post on X, where she shared an article about disparities in breastfeeding among Black mothers. She's building awareness one share at a time. Or even Sandra Igwe's powerful video on ITV News, I guess, where she opens up about feeling gaslit in maternal care as a Black woman, emphasizing how we need providers to truly listen. And so these are not just posts, they are lifelines. I think about Dr. Ijoma Opara's flipping script from Black maternal mortality to vitality, and where she celebrates joyful pregnancies and postpartum periods, because yes, of course, we do thrive. Black women thrive. And even gives nutritionist reflection on feedback from moms, the need for more grace from partners, compassion for those who cannot exclusively breastfeed, and better support after C-sections. These voices make me reflect. Have I supported a mom in my circle lately? What biases might I hold without realizing? So these challenges are real, but so are the triumphs. It's noteworthy that breastfeeding boosts infant health. It reduces risk like sudden infant death syndrome among babies, obesity, which we all know disproportionately affects Black babies. And so it's also empowering such that it helps us reclaim our bodies and our heritage. So organizations like Black Mothers in Power are calling out barriers. Several organizations are calling out breastfeeding barriers among Black women, and this urges us to restore our legacy. Doulas everywhere are stepping up. We have midwives also stepping up, combating hospital biases and providing hands-on help. Imagine if every Black mom had a community like that, rooted and grounded, just like the theme of this year's celebration says. And so as we wrap up, let's reflect. What's one thing you can do this Black Breastfeeding Week? Maybe it's share your story, it's support a friend, or advocate for better policies in whatever form you can. Because breastfeeding is hard. Yes, it is. It is demanding, it is emotional, and sometimes it is painful. But it is also a bond like no other. So if you're struggling, just know that it is not your fault and help is out there. So let's keep the conversation going, lifting each other up, because you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not just feeding a baby. You are nourishing a legacy. So what's your breastfeeding story? You can drop in the comments. I'd love to hear and reflect with you. Once again, happy Black Breastfeeding.